We are here at Tualatin Heritage Center talking with Janet and Dave Dalton, who are icons in Tualatin, whose names are familiar to a lot of people since about 1980, for sure. And we're going to get into more details about that as we ask more about their time here. But let's go back in time. Dave and Janet, where were you both from originally? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up here in Portland.
Portland?
I'm from Portland.
I grew up in Seattle, and I moved to Tigard, Oregon in 1975 right out of college and took a job with a company called Mr. State.
So your food service began really right out of college.
I had an opportunity to go to work for a company that wanted to hire people out of college who had the business background so that would help get them owning their businesses. And they taught me a lot of the food business when I went to work for them, Larry. I also was in the National Guard in Bellingham and then eventually at the Tigard Armory and finishing out my 6-year military service, and I ran the mess hall. I was a mess sergeant. So that gave me another angle as far as food service goes.
Sure. The college major was not in that field.
I'm sorry?
The college major itself was not food service, but...
It was business administration.
Well, there you go. That's
Yes.
part of that.
And small business administration was really my goal to eventually own my own small business.
So where did you meet?
I was a waitress.
How did you meet?
I was a waitress at Mr. Steak. I met Dave working for him.
Janet was one of my early hires, and she was a terrific waitress. There could be an argument made that when I hired Janet and I was running the business, it turned out just the opposite. She's very sociable, she's very friendly, she's very professional, very talented, and I knew that I had a winner when I hired Janet, and that's how we met.
So then both career and family came together, and you set some goals about them. What were your goals?
Well, my goal was that gave me a good opening to run my own business and learn the business. We were in a community that we really enjoyed in Tigard, Oregon, and we were involved in that community. I felt the same way when we moved down to Tualatin. We had a business that was really struggling in the early years, and we worked hard to be involved in the community and be involved in things like the Tigard and the Tualatin Chamber of Commerce, and to hire kids out of school there that ended up working for us, and to be embedded in the community and be involved in them. Janet and I at a very early age decided giving back to the community was the right thing to do, and we did that in the early age in the form of Thanksgiving dinners that we offered. And
Free Thanksgiving dinners for
Right.
the seniors. Dave got really
Right.
involved right away with the senior community in Summerfield and King City.
And we became, because I'm in the food business, we found out very early that surplus food items are not things you throw away, that you can use them and donate them to food banks and eventually the homeless causes.
So tell us where that was located in Tualatin, to place it geographically from the town now.
The restaurant was located back in the days when they had G.I. Joe's, back when they had Miller's is still there. They had Denny's, okay, and Denny's has changed hands several times. There was a 24-hour fitness center right
there.
behind our restaurant, and that used to be, what was the grocery store?
That's a good question. It was a grocery store at one time. I should know, but I can't remember.
But
It was on McClure.
It was located right off the freeway, which was a logistical bonus for us, easy to get to. And we were actually on the corner of Tigard, Tualatin, and Lake Oswego.
Sure.
All three communities came together there. And so we liked the location. We moved down there in the early 80s, and we were able to turn the restaurant around and make a real go out of it early.
Is that building still there today?
No.
Yeah.
The building, we never owned our building, we leased it. When we took over that operation, we had known at some point that there was plans to develop not just the restaurant, but the entire area where 24-hour fitness is and the little shops into a marketplace. And we attempted to purchase the property, not able to do that, and was kind of given a notice through the landlord that when the lease was up, they would not renew the lease because they were using it for additional parking for the 24-hour fitness that's there now.
Okay. So you were both working together every day in that time, but no kids yet?
No, not in the beginning,
Okay.
no.
No time for kids at that point?
Yeah.
Right. But you hired a lot of kids in the area.
All the kids are almost all from Tualatin School District. Lots of kids from the school district.
Did any of them go into food service type?
Yes.
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 Yeah. We actually, one of the kids that worked for us, we just saw this last year. He works at Mama's Fish House in Maui.
Wow.
So, but a lot of kids did go into the food service business.
Yeah, well, a little later in the 90s, we hired a gentleman who ended up being my kitchen manager and then general manager when we moved into catering. And he and his family had all worked for me. And I have a young man who worked for me early in the Tualatin restaurant who went on to run commercial food service. And he's really big time. He's done food operations, industrial, commercial food operations where you're feeding thousands of people a day. He's worked for school systems, and really nice to see how well he's done.
Yeah.
I've had at least 3 or 4 other
We had 3
folks that were
employees.
hired as young kids in high school who went on to own their own restaurants, own their own businesses in the Portland area. I had one of my really key managers went down to Oklahoma and Texas and opened a bunch of steakhouses down there. At that time, that's what we had, was a family steakhouse operation. So it's nice to see folks that come in, learn the system, and turn it around. And I'm also very happy to see young people turn into adults and have families who did better than I did.
And we still keep in contact with a lot of employees,
Yeah,
even from 1975.
We're living on a lot of good memories.
Yeah, we've catered a lot of their weddings, their kids' weddings.
Oh, nice.
So sold them homes, sold their kids' homes now. It's been a nice life, really.
Is Mr. Steak still a brand nationally?
No. They weren't around shortly after we moved into the location in Tualatin. They were struggling, and at one time they had as many as 350 restaurants, but they made some bad decisions. They weren't competing with the new ideas, the seafoods, the salad bars, and updating it. They were strictly a small little steakhouse operation out of Colorado that had their own meat plant, and they did everything in-house, and they weren't willing to be open to
New ideas.
coming into the 20th century and opening up with more popular menu items and selections. And I kind of could see that happening. I figured my goal here is to own my own place, and having them as a partner was not going to last long, and it didn't.
So then the idea of catering evolved from Tualatin.
Catering involved, yeah, really from Tualatin. Some of the communities that you're aware of, I'm sure, would be Summerfield and King City. We did a lot of events there. We got started doing events there, and what happened is they were customers of my restaurant, and they said, we're having a men's club lunch tomorrow or next week. Can you come out and cater it? And so that got our foot in the door. We took our operation out to Summerfield. They have a great kitchen. And we started doing large lunch for 50, 100, 200. Summerfield, I pick on Summerfield particularly because that's our longest client. And forever they would do a men's club dinner that had 220 people, and we'd cater their dinner for them every Friday night, once a month. And that opened it up for private events for their family, whether it be weddings or graduations or memorials. And that really turned into a whole other business, Larry.
So Janet, were you still helping in all of this part?
We worked together in the business when Dave went to Mr. Steak in Tualatin. I was not working. Once we started dating, I kind of left the restaurant. And so at that time, I went into management for Nordstrom's. And when he transferred, or when they moved him from Tiger to Tualatin, he asked me to help him get the restaurant started again. So I went to work in Tualatin, and starting out turned into 15 years. And by then we had our 2 kids, and we decided that it would be best if, we each had a career. Better for our family, better for us. And at that time is when I got into real estate.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's been quite a while now for you. How many
I've
years?
been in real estate since 96, 29 years.
Wow, great. And you're still in it now?
Yes.
Good, good. But Dave, you did finally retire, right?
I finally retired. We sold our business last year. We'd had some conversations about it. I just turned 76 a couple of days ago. I think I waited way too long. It was a business that I enjoyed. I had a passion for. I was a workaholic. I spent way too much time there, but it was a good long career, and I needed some impetus to understand, hey, it's the end of the road, time to go. And so that's what we did, is we sold our business and living on memories right now.
But you did have a good crew for a long time.
I had a terrific crew. When we made the transition to, while we had our restaurant, to moving into catering off-site, which is in somebody else's banquet room or home or church or wedding hall, I could just, that was the end of 25 years in the restaurant time. It was a good time. I'm glad we survived it. Everything went well. But you could just see there were new things happening, a new menu, a new concept. You've seen some of our caterings, Larry. We really pride ourselves on a very attractive, showy buffet, whether it's a wedding reception or the event we catered here at the Heritage House. And that really brought us a whole new opportunity.
So you were meal planning and all of that, plus buying kitchenware and all the stuff you would need, trucks to carry it all around.
Yes.
All of that.
Yes. I oversaw a lot of the business. I was a hands-on manager, but I had a terrific team. I had a kitchen staff that quite often on a Saturday afternoon would do a fajita buffet. They do a prime rib and salmon buffet for a wedding. They do ribs and chicken for a barbecue and an Italian buffet all in one day. And they would nail it. They'd nail it perfectly.
Yes.
We did have 4 different vehicles. We had 4 different managers, and we had enough staff to actually go 4 different ways at one time, which is challenging. I go like this a lot, just hoping that we pull it off. And all you need is to have a flat tire on the way to an event, or something break down, or an employee gets sick the day of the event. Never happened. We look back at all the memories we have, and my crew was excellent. And the one thing I learned after the early days in the restaurant business is that I had a lot of turnover when I had Mr. Steak because of what you paid and what you expected. And when we turned over and got into the catering business, my whole philosophy was that these are great people. They need to have health insurance. They need to have a living wage. They need to get time off and overtime and all that. And we made sure that happened. And the longevity was there. My crew, my core crew, when we sold the business, had been with me for more than 20 years.
And many of them were Hispanic, right?
Yes.
Right. And that was great.
They are.
Family business to them.
Yep.
That's great. So real estate, what were some of the challenges you had to face, Janet? You started out small, I assume?
Well, I was really fortunate. I started out, I had belonged to, we were charter members of the chamber, actually very, very involved here in the Tualatin Chamber from day one. When I decided to go into real estate, I made the decision to stay with the Tualatin Chamber. The Tualatin Chamber has been a big part of my business. And I was fortunate because I took restaurant customers, restaurant employees, people I met through the chamber. So really, I had a great business right from the start. And taking care of my clients was really important. Working by referral and working with people that I knew, liked, and trust, and people that knew, liked, and trust me was really important. So I've been really fortunate in having a very successful real estate career.
So I see, you recently joined another firm, right? Or you have your own little group?
I have been in the same office the entire time. I, 2 years ago, was thinking of retirement, and I had a couple that worked in my office. He was actually at one time the CFO of our company and got into real estate with his wife. And they came to me and asked if I would be interested in joining their team so that when I wanted to completely retire, they could take over my business, or when I wanted to be gone, they could take care of my business. So I work for Berkshire Hathaway. They work for Berkshire Hathaway. We're a team within Berkshire Hathaway. So I've been in the same office the whole 29 years.
Do you remember your tagline in the Chamber of Commerce?
Catering to all your real estate needs. And I started that out in the very beginning. I started it out in the beginning because it was like I wanted people, especially in the chamber, to realize that I was associated with Dalton's Catering. So it just seemed like the appropriate tagline.
Yeah, I remember that myself for many years.
Janet is very sociable, as you know. She's a lot more than I am. She'll drag me into a chamber meeting now and then to say hello to folks. She's an award-winning realtor, and she receives that distinction because she's so honest and trustworthy. And she was the same way when we worked together. Even though she has her own business and she's been highly successful at it, she doesn't go into an event until she's also plugging what I do. And I really appreciate everything she's done there.
And vice versa.
The Chamber of Commerce, the Tualatin Chamber of Commerce for both of us has been an incredible group. Right off the bat, we both picked up clients and shared business with many people in the Chamber. But we've also learned that it's a community activity. I know when I joined the Kiwanis Club, we're highly involved in the old Crawfish Festival. And now they don't have that. There are other things that we do around the city all the time. But it's been a good relationship, and she does public relations better than anybody I know.
Well, going back to that time you did the senior dinners, Thanksgiving dinner, it's Mr. Steak, right?
Mm-hmm.
We did it with we started with Mr. Steak, but then we continued it all the way until we closed the restaurant.
And then where did you hold those on Thanksgiving? It's some location you could get to.
Well, after we closed the restaurant,
But we had it at the restaurant for 25 years.
yeah, the restaurant was a natural place for it. As far as the location for Thanksgiving Day.
So we did it at the restaurant for 25 years. So when we started doing, and that was a free Thanksgiving dinner, and we started doing it, and when we started doing it, Dave was doing it for the seniors, mostly like Tiger, the Summerfield in King City, for people who maybe didn't have family, or maybe they had family, but just the two of them. So originally, the thought process there was inviting all the seniors in, and free, and we were one of the very first restaurants in the whole area that did that. And then by the time we closed the restaurant in 99, 2000, we were doing the homeless too. We've got the Kiwanis involved, the Scouts involved, and they would even go into town and bring people out because the demographics changed. I mean, the homeless population we had in 75 and the homeless population we had in 2000 was a lot different. But also what changed was a lot of other restaurants, a lot of other nonprofits were getting involved in catering or, you know, doing a free Thanksgiving dinner. So after we closed the restaurant, we did it for a couple years at the Juanita Pool Center, but then they wanted to start charging us. And once they decided to start charging us, we decided that, you know, we had done it enough and there were a lot of other resources. So we did it there for a couple of years after the restaurant closed.
There was also, you know, through Janet's company, they were very involved in something called TY, Transitional Youth.
Absolutely.
Okay, and so
And we did Thanksgiving
they would
there.
put on a deal during the holidays down at the McMinimans.
The McMinimans downtown Portland would donate the Crystal Ballroom for the kids on the street. So that ballroom would be donated.
Yeah.
And then
And we
Dave
helped with
would
the food
do
part, and they
all the
also,
food.
they had showers for the kids that were living on the street. They had a clothing swap thing, and healthcare and haircuts and all that.
Everything
It
all
was a
day
great
on
celebration.
Thanksgiving Day.
It was a great
It's
celebration.
amazing.
And so we enjoyed continuing that.
We
And we
did.
had a lot of folks that helped us because I didn't have a restaurant anymore as far as procuring the food and cooking the food and taking it down there. You keep in mind, Larry, I had a very nice catering kitchen in Tigard, right off of Hall. And that's where we did a lot of our cooking after we sold the restaurant. And that was also the source of, we were going to the Good Neighbor House a couple times a week with leftover food. And then downtown Portland had several areas. We did a Monday night dinner for the homeless kids downtown.
We did for the kids, and then on Sunday night, we did with New Song Church, we did Manna Ministries on Sunday nights, donated the food for several years as well.
Well, I remember you talking about that at chamber events, about the youth.
Transitional youth, yes, we were involved, we're still involved with transitional youth, not, you know, but once we closed the catering kitchen, but up until we closed the catering kitchen, we donated food to them on a regular basis. We did Thanksgiving for them through COVID. Once COVID hit, they stopped doing that program. And transitional youth, their program has changed where they were doing meals a couple times a week for the kids in town, but then when COVID hit, that kind of changed, and they're kind of an outreach, and we now have, I believe it's six homes. So they have shelters for the kids, and so and a working ranch and a coffee shop. So they've gone, you know, and rather than being outside and downtown, we now have places in place. So the need is not what it was.
So Kiwanis, Dave, some of the things you did for Kiwanis and as a member, both of you members or just?
No, just Dave.
So what does Kiwanis do?
Well, Kiwanis is very involved in the city of Tualatin and the schools. And one of the things that I'm going to start participating in as I have time is that they pick up surplus food. I think, what's the name of the Joe's market over by Bridgeport?
I'm not sure.
Market, is it Bargain Market? Yeah, the Kiwanis will go in, I think, once or twice a week and take the surplus food and take it to the food bank that the city's involved in out at Rolling Hills. I was approached when I had my Tualatin restaurant by the Kiwanis Club, a very good friend of ours, George, and you know the rest of the team, Wally and Ron and those guys. They had wanted to know if since I was involved in the city and I had a business, would I like to join the Kiwanis? And I told them that, you know, I'm a terrible member, probably won't show up. I'm a workaholic, and I know you have a great club if you want a guy just to have your name on the list. And at that time, I was a young man. I was like in my 30s. He said, we'd love to have your name on the list. You'll reduce the average age of our membership. As it turned out, the Tualatin Kiwanis did some very nice, fun activities that are related to food. So it's right down my alley. It was very easy for me to listen to George and to go in and work with him on that breakfast that we'd serve. On the Sherwood days where we do our elephant ears and all that. And actually, when the Crawfish Festival closed down, we were doing elephant ears and pulled pork and all that. So I was glad to be involved and help them with that.
Kiwanis also
With
helped
that
every
event.
year with Thanksgiving. The Kiwanis
They
and
did
the
help
local
us
Boy
every-
Scouts came in and helped serve the food and, helped us with that.
One of the biggest fundraisers for the club is the Mount Hood Kiwanis Camp for handicapped kids. And that's one of George's biggest passions. And you can't help but want to be involved in that. And that's where a lot of the funds that the club raises, that doesn't go locally, will go there, as do all the Kiwanis clubs in the area. They support it. It's a great camp for handicapped kids.
And that's George Bowlesby, just for the record.
Yes,
Whose name is well known in this town.
very good friend.
The other thing that he was doing with the Kiwanis that he's just started doing, since he doesn't have the catering business anymore, Dave was really involved with the veterans here in town and did a free breakfast on Veterans Day.
Right.
And so now that he doesn't have his staff and stuff, he's gotten the Kiwanis involved with that, as well as the Memorial Day picnic. So Daltons has been very involved with the veterans.
Sure.
And first got involved with that when Dale Potts and Nita George came to him when the veterans came back from the Iraq, right?
From Afghanistan.
Afghanistan,
Yeah.
yeah. Did a parade for about 600 people here in town
Right.
and fed them all. And then since then, you were involved in doing Memorial Day weekend and Veterans Day.
And that's an easy event to be involved in.
Yes,
You know, since
they're
I
great events.
was in the reserves during the Vietnam War. I ran a mess kitchen, and so the two go hand in hand. I had a kitchen that we worked out of our catering kitchen while that was going on. It was very easily done. What I've tried to do, Larry, in the last couple of years is push to have that event, if the city wants us to continue to do it, operated under the Kiwanis name, because there is going to be a time when I'm not around.
So overall, how do you see eating habits changing over the years? You mentioned some of it earlier.
You couldn't ask that at a weirder time than right now, because the industry, well, like every industry since COVID, and the food industry especially, is upside down. There are so many operators that I know that walked away, closed the door, and they're gone because of the cost of food. They can't get help. Janet and I still go out to restaurants. We enjoy doing that as customers rather than people that own it. But you can see how an operation is forced to change. And in many cases, you'll walk into a restaurant and you're waiting on yourself. You have to pull up the menu. You have to order the food. Someone in the kitchen brings you the food. And that's the way it's going. Now, I'm a big supporter of the food business. And there are so many good success stories that have survived it all. We're glad to see it. And the other good thing is some of these places that have folded up, you see new ideas come in and new concepts. All these food trucks that are coming out. And people are dealing with those issues, which is high food cost and high labor cost. And the fact that you have a jittery client base that they're nervous about going anywhere, it's coming back, and it will come back. But it's certainly going to take some time.
So Janet, how do you see the real estate business changing over the years you've been doing it?
You know, people always have to buy and sell real estate. They have to have a place to live. So, for me, there hasn't been as much change as some people might think. Yeah, we have to educate people. Like people are like, oh, the interest rates are high. Should we wait to buy? Well, if you wait to buy, the price of the house will go up by the time the interest rate goes down. So just educating people and being honest with them about the process. I've seen change, and of course there's a big change right now because of the buyer's agency is new, just going into effect, where You used to pay a buyer's fee, the buyer's agent a fee, and now if you don't want to, the seller chooses not to, they don't have to. You're not going to be able to sell real estate if you're not paying. I mean, you're not going to be able to sell your home if you're not going to pay a fee. So it's just really a lot of real estate is educating people. I think, getting them educated as to how the process works and what they need to do.
So what do you tell young families that are wanting to start out? Can you help them with any of that?
Yeah, there's different programs out there as well. Try and get them involved in some programs if they need assistance. Just always set them up. Most important, more so than the real estate broker, in my opinion, sometimes, is the financing. So always make sure that they have a lender, and the lender is showing them the steps and what they need to do in order to get qualified to buy that home. And so that's probably most important, is, setting them in the right direction that way.
So in the meantime, you've had 2 kids of your own, right?
Yes, we have 2 wonderful daughters.
And how old are they now?
Elizabeth is 36 and Jennifer will be 43 next week.
And they are living where?
Jennifer lives in LA and Elizabeth lives here.
Good. And what are they doing?
Jennifer has her own company in LA. She's a publicist. And Elizabeth just graduated 3 weeks ago and has a master's in social work. And Elizabeth was diagnosed about 6 years ago with type 1 diabetes. And she started a job on Sunday. She is the mental health counselor at a children's camp for diabetic.
Wow.
And so it's only a 6-week job, but she's got other job opportunities when she finishes. But
That's great.
but yes, it's really great for both of them. Yeah.
So at least one of them is close.
Yes.
That's good. But your trips now in semi-retirement for you, but more or less both of you retired.
Yes.
Can take you anywhere you want to go now, almost, to see them or see some of the
Yep.
USA that you wanted to see. Where was your last trip in the?
We just went up to Canada.
Had
We
a
were
great trip.
Jasper, Banff, and so that was our last trip, and then we are just getting ready to go to Italy.
Good.
And I have to tell you, I'm pretty excited. I've been a little nervous, but on Monday I don't know if you remember Nancy Wogan, but she was a member of the chamber, and she and her husband live in Spain, and I met her for coffee on Monday, and I kind of showed her what we were doing. She goes, no, no, no. She put my whole itinerary together, changed everything, showed me exactly, and she and her husband are going to be there while we're there too. So we're going to get to stay with them for part of the time. So kind of exciting.
That's the fun part of being retired. You can do what you want to do now.
Absolutely.
So both of you heavily involved volunteering, obviously. So how do you look at that volunteer stuff changing in the world today? Is it as important as it used to be?
Oh, I think volunteers are needed everywhere.
It's never, it's always important, but the nonprofit groups, just like any business right now, is going to have challenges maintaining enough volunteers there, because people have other priorities with what's going on in the economy and their jobs and all the other things that we've been dealing with. So it is very important to keep doing it. We're not going to stop, but we're also going to start enjoying our retirement. And through the Kiwanis Club, I intend to expand some of the things I do and help out in other areas around Portland.
Good. So back to Tualatin for a moment. We're just going to wrap it up here in a couple of minutes. But what do you see coming in the future here in Tualatin? What's your assessment of the future of this community? Long history. And you've been part of that for more than 40, 50 years.
I'm amazed at Tualatin. I drive out to Sherwood all the time. I drive down to Wilsonville all the time. and all the new huge industry that's come along Tualatin Sherwood Road and off on the side, and all the growth
New
there.
housing. lots of
Tualatin
new
has a
houses.
great future. She and I have been involved in the chamber since day one. And, you know, we really enjoyed the heyday where you'd go to an AM and there'd be 100 people there. And I'd like to see that come back. I know that COVID kind of shut everything down and businesses started operating a different way. But I hope that they return to the heyday where you've just got good representation, especially from all the new industry that's come in.
Good. So what about the history itself? Do you see some areas in Tualatin that need to be preserved better? So that the kids of the future look back and see what was here once and understand it?
I think that Tualatin does a pretty good job, really. I mean, you do a good job here. The library does a good job. You know, I think that you do as good a job as anyone does. I think the city of Tualatin does a good job. I think you just got to keep it up.
Right.
And it's finding people to keep it up.
Right. Well, that's always a challenge for everybody, and we're just trying to record this way, through your memories, your parts in that story, which were so important, like I said. Anything more you'd like to add today to this discussion?
It's just been a real pleasure. The moment we moved down here and the people that we've met through the chamber. And it's been a pleasure to be involved in what happens in the town. She's not going to stop. Friday morning, she's going to be here. And it's a great relationship that we've had with them. We don't want it to end, and we want to continue to look to be part of the future of Tualatin as we move forward.
Yeah, great community.
And we all need to eat. That's one thing we haven't covered.
Yes.
One way or the other.
Yep.
Maybe you'll be doing Mr. Cook chef classes or something someday.
Not me, but I know someone who could help.
Well, thank you, Dave and Janet Dalton. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was an honor.